This is WIUR Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Booth Review on WIUR Radio. I'm Robbie Basil, joined as always by Chase Caridi. It is a very interesting time in sports. March Madness may have taken all of your time the last couple of weeks, and we might briefly talk about that at the end of today's show. But you know, the main focus of what we're talking about today is baseball. Baseball, ladies and gentlemen, baseball is back. Yes, baseball is back. It's unbelievable. Also, we have some new sounds we might be trying out. So leave a like down below if you like the new sound effects. Maybe write in the comments if you want us to never use sound effects again, which is totally valid, by the way. But, you know, Chase, it is yesterday, the last couple of days really was opening day. First of all, opening day on a Wednesday. I'm not rocking with that, you know. It was the Giants and the Yankees. We'll quickly talk about how the New York teams did first. And we're going to go into some season predictions that we would have done on Wednesday if our show was on Wednesday. But here we are. A few days later, we were able to seal a couple of the opening day starters. Some teams imploded, like the Chicago Cubs, or some teams some teams like to blow leads, like the Tampa Bay Rays. We'll talk about both of them as this show goes on. But, you know, let's start with the Yankees, who went out and won a dominant game against the San Francisco Giants, against the Logan Webb that we thought was going to be great. He did not look good early on against the New York Yankees.
Yeah, no, he did not. And just to touch back on that Wednesday start for the season, we see a lot of, sports have their opening nights, maybe one or two games. Obviously, football with their big-time kickoff on a Thursday, even though that might change this year. Saw some rumblings about a Wednesday. It's going to be interesting to see how that season goes out. But again, starting on the Wednesday, only having the Giants and Yankees in front of us to watch, it really put on display that, a lot of people were complaining, oh, the Yankees, they made no moves. They just re-signed guys. They stuck to who they were last year. And a lot of people had a problem with that, saying, you got to improve. You got to be able to change some things. Nothing changes if nothing changes. But maybe you don't want to change if you score the most runs in baseball last year, which is what they did and what they continued to look to on pace to do on Wednesday against the Giants. A lot of contact given up by Logan Webb. Very interesting to see Tony Lavello's his debut as the manager of the Giants. There's already some questions about, managing a bullpen and, how long should you have your starter out there, and especially in a situation like that where, the bats looked flat against a guy in Max Fruity, who we saw in his first year with New York last year really excel in that spot, and now in a bigger hole with questions still about Carlos Rodon, with Garrett Cole. How is he going to do as really the number one guy in this showing? And, Max Fried turned back the clock to those great Atlanta Braves days and continues to show why he is really one of the best guys that got paid big a couple seasons ago and really has backed it up to start off this season.
Max Fried diced up the Giants on Wednesday. No, who didn't dice up their opponent yesterday? Paul Skeens. It was the Pirates against the Mets about 24 hours, just a little under 24 hours ago now. And it was all New York Mets early, even despite Brandon Lau's 2 home runs. Which if you picked him in fantasy baseball, kudos to you. I wanted to. Unfortunately, some other people took my players. We'll talk about some players that I did draft that were pretty good on opening day. I won't mention any names, Jacob Mizorowski. But, the Mets, the offense came alive despite the countless Pirates miscues. It was all New York Mets, Chase, and I'll start with this one. Freddie Peralta, thought he'd be a little bit more dominant. I mean, it's an opening day. It's a little bit of the jitters, a new team. You could say the same about Paul Skeens with the lack of defense from O'Neal Cruz and company. So I don't think we saw the correct version of either of these two great starters in Freddie Peralta and Paul Skeens on the debut of NBC. Was it the debut of NBC for baseball?
They might have been on it previously, but this is obviously the return.
Like the return.
And their first game since.
I know there's been like some regional networks that did like NBC. Like I know Philadelphia has theirs to NBC, but like going back on NBC4, first game, Matt Vasgersian calling 2 games in like 16 hours or
which
whatever.
Is nuts.
Which is
shout out, bro.
Shout out Matt Vasgersian, MLB The Show GOAT.
Santa Maria.
some of the greatest baseball calls of my childhood. Thank God he's back. I love Matt Vasgersian. Please get him back on MLB The Show. My point is, the offense came alive. Carson Benj, baller, love him. Rest of the team, decent. It was pretty good. The 7 runs allowed to the Pirates is a little concerning, but it's opening day.
I will say, when it comes to the rotation, at least for the New York Mets, at least in pitching wise, we saw Freddie Peralta, and yeah, like you said, not his best stuff. I think we have grown really accustomed to Freddie Peralta when he shows up in Citi Field or whenever he plays the Mets to really dice them up. So it is kind of interesting to see him on that big stage, obviously not play to the standard of the guy who had his highest amount of wins in his career just last season, and really really sprouting out and showing for him. But like you said, both of these starters, find themselves in a situation where it is probably going to take a little bit of time to really, really grow into what we expect from them. Obviously, Freddie Peralta in a new situation with a new organization for the first time. It's going to be really interesting to see how he continues to develop as, the guy that people immediately go to as the ace in this Mets rotation. And then for a guy like Paul Skeens, I mean, we can't forget he was just with Team USA for almost the entirety of spring training this past offseason. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these two bounce back from their performances. Obviously, one more than the other, as Skeens didn't even get out of the first inning against the Mets. But again, Peralta, I'm sure things will finally tune back into what we expect. And obviously, when it comes to the bullpen, this Mets team looks even more different than what we expected from lineup and rotation-wise. But overall, liked what I saw from Tobias Myers. A couple of solid innings, gave up a 1-run bomb to Ryan O'Hearn. Another really good signing by the Pittsburgh Pirates offense.
The Pirates making good moves makes me uncomfortable.
Really interesting. Most funny thing, Marcell Ozuna getting the most boos in the whole stadium in that lineup, which deserved, if you know, you know. But anyway, getting back to the end of it, and Luis Garcia giving him a couple more runs to kind of add on to the stat padding of the Pirates. He's one of the lower guys in the bullpen, so I don't really expect much from him in that sense. But overall, like you said, the lineup, all the new guys were clicking. It was absolutely fantastic to see Carson Benj really letting that rookie kind of spirit and energy shine, jumping around at first base after hitting that big-time home run late in the game. The Mets even changed their Twitter profile to him celebrating as he had that home run hit. Right. So love to see that, obviously. But yeah, we're talking about the Mets and even the Yankees. Just the New York baseball and sports in general vibes are really up right now, and it really helps from a really solid showing on opening day by both of these teams.
So before we go into our picks, we're going to look around baseball. And, there's been a lot of surprises and disappointments so far, Chase. So what we're going to do, we're going to pick one surprise and one disappointment from the first games of baseball this season, from opening day. I'll start with this one so you can take a look. My surprise, there's a couple options here, to be honest with you, but I was very surprised with the Los Angeles Angels, going out winning a close 3-0 game. Mike Trout hit a home run in 2026.
He's a little round.
I know, surprising. I know it's very surprising that Mike Trout hit a home run.
It's surprising that he was healthy on opening day.
Also
but
true.
Nevertheless, he's a group.
He was great, and the Angels killed it. They scored 3 runs, albeit all in the last 3 innings, which makes me uncomfortable. Can they please do that earlier on so they don't have to scare their fans every 5 minutes? So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with the Astros bullpen. I thought they were going to be more lockdown. They couldn't get it done against an Angels group on opening day. That we are not expecting a lot from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. We never really do anymore. So my surprise is Los Angeles. They looked really good on opening day defensively, and every 9 hits. They only allowed 3 from an Astros lineup that we're expecting a decent bit from, with guys like Gordon Alvarez still being there. Disappointments. There's so many options for this one, honestly. I'm going to go with the Cubs, getting destroyed by the Nationals. The Nationals.
Make it make sense.
I don't.
That's all you can say.
That's all you can say. I think that's a perfect sound effect to describe how we feel about this. Matthew Boyd wasn't terrible, but allowed 6 runs. So
roller coaster of a start.
Roller coaster of a start. Very good way to put it. The Nats scored 6 in the 4th and never looked back, as Washington, the boys from DC, one of the youngest, if not the youngest team in the National League.
It's definitely close.
It's definitely close. Go out and win 10-4, despite committing more errors. But they did have double-digit runs and double-digit hits. So fair play to the Nats. The Cubs, You wanted to see Daniel Palencia? Well, you're gonna have to wait a little bit for that one as they go out and lose 10-4 in a game that I'm a little bit concerned. I'm a little overreacting to the Cubs pitching staff, but it's not a great start for them. Maybe the rest of their the pitching depth was what worried me. The starting rotation was one thing that worried for me. Was the big worry for me for the Cubs was starting rotation, and they're kind of living up to that headline so far, losing 10-4 on opening day to the Nets. Who was your big surprise from day one?
For my big surprise, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Twins. They kept it close against the Baltimore Orioles in a 2-1. They did lose the match. Trevor Rogers, again, really, really strong last season and really good in opening day for the Orioles. But this team, a lot of people, and we'll get more into it when we talk about the projections and predictions of these standings. A lot of people saw the Orioles as kind of a sneaky team to be near the top, if not the top of the AL East this season because of that really strong lineup. And they were really, to be completely honest, shut down in a sense by Joe Ryan and this Twins rotation. I mean, it was really great to see. Obviously, Joe Ryan, we've seen slowly develop into really being one of these star players. We've seen a lot of trade rumors over the past couple of years in deadline when it comes to the Twins, especially with Ryan. But he had a really strong outing in 5 1/3, striking out 7 with multiple different weapons from his arsenal. Have been really good. And while, again, like we'll say later in the predictions, the Twins are not exactly a team I'm expecting to do much this season, I do think that this definitely is a team that when things are going right for them, they could scratch over a couple of runs while the rotation has some guys that could be really interesting and make some moves. And then when you talk about disappointments, I got to go with the Seattle Mariners. The last game on the slot for opening day against the Guardians, they lose 6-4 in an outing that I thought was really good by Logan Gilbert. I think he was really solid, and they hit a good amount of home runs to get all their runs. Dominic Ganzone with 2. Luke Raley included that as well. Brendan Donovan actually, probably the biggest acquisition for the Mariners this offseason was Brendan Donovan, and he started out the game with a leadoff homer after they'd already given up a run in the top of the first. So just a little out of sense, especially from pitching, is what I expected to be kind of the backbone of this Mariners team. Gilbert was solid, but again, guys like you seem to rely on a lot more, like Spire. He did not show up. He actually gets the loss in this one, giving up what would eventually be the runs for the Guardians to win it. And so that, while I don't, no, I'm not. Well, I'm not going to overreact and say, "Oh, the Mariners are, in trouble now because of how they did an opening day against the Guardians, who are a formidable team, is definitely in the AL." It is something really interesting to see. Hoping to come out as this team that could potentially be a big time name, a potential dark horse for the season. Not what you want to see in opening day, but nevertheless, those are my surprising picks and underwhelming.
So when we return, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to predict the American League standings, who we think is going to win each division, and who we might think could be terrible. You'll hear our possibly very scuffed predictions when we return on WIUR, the Iona University Radio Network.
This is WIUR Radio.
Hi, I'm Morgan Beastie from the Ionian, and I hope you're enjoying today's show. Are you looking for the latest scoop on campus news, sports, and more? Check out the Ionian, Iona University's very own award-winning student newspaper. We keep you up to date with everything happening on and off campus. Want to know about the big game, the latest campus event? It's all in the Ionian. Join the conversation. Read, write, and get involved. Visit www.theionian.org or pick up a copy around campus. Stay informed, stay connected. Now, back to WIUR, Iona University Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Booth Review on WIUR Radio. I'm Robbie Basil, joined by Scoot, who we forgot to introduce again on this show. I don't know how that's happening. Along with, of course, Chase Greedy. While we would love to hear Scoot's incredible prediction of Tampa Bay winning the World Series or the White Sox winning 85 games.
One of them, you should have heard him. Crazy.
Yeah, that would be kind of nuts. It's time to predict the American League, and we're going to begin with the American League East. We'll go team by team. Each of us will go 1 to 5, who we think will win the division, maybe go into a brief bit of analysis. And Chase is going to start off for us with the American League East, a division that we've seen a lot of people pick 3 to possibly 4 different division winners, Chase. It's an interesting division. Who do you got going from 1 to 5?
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be one of the most competitive divisions, as it seemingly always is, when it comes to the baseball season. But for me, I'm going to go maybe a chalk pick, what people, maybe expect to see after, especially how their postseason went. I'm going to go with the Toronto Blue Jays to lead this division and come out again at the top of the AL East. Then it's going to be followed by the Boston Red Sox. I really like what they've done to just continue to bolster to a really strong rotation. They did lose a little bit in the hitting department, I'm not going to lie, but there are guys like, obviously, Roman Anthony could potentially just go nuclear this season. I think he will be a big-time linchpin to this team's success. And then, obviously, as we mentioned before, the New York Yankees, they picked up right where they left off in terms of the regular season of being just an incredible hitting team. Again, when it comes to the postseason, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes, but I do have them in that 3rd spot. Then in 4th, maybe a bit of a shock to some people. I don't know if it'll be a shock to you, but the Baltimore Orioles I do have in 4th because despite all the hype around this team in the offseason, and then when there were concerns from people about the pitching, they had a couple of guys here and there, or Chris Bassett trying to bolster, maybe more of a conduced rotation and starting 5. I still don't exactly love it, but again, in how competitive this division will be, I see them being close, tight in that 4th spot. And then in the last place, I'm going to have to go with the Tampa Bay Rays, just really lacking in kind of the talent that we've seen in the past. I think there's going to be some natural regression to guys like a Junior Caminero, especially after how insane the season was in his rookie year. I think some of those guys are just due for some natural regression, not too much to make them bad players in any sense, but just not enough to put them over the top against especially 4 other incredible teams of this division.
Yeah, it's a division with a ton of talent. And you can make an argument for if you threw those teams into other divisions in the American League that they have a good shot of winning said division. It's going to be the most competitive division in the American League by a country mile. For my picks, my number 1 team, I'm going with the Boston Red Sox. I think the big worry for me early on is injuries for Toronto. They do have a couple injuries early on in their rotation. Missing someone like Trey Savage, who was used early in the World Series, not having Shane Bieber, not having Jose Barrios, losing some of that starting pitching depth to start the season could be a little bit of a concern, but they could be a team that you could watch out for June, July to really pump it up and maybe make a big-time move around that point in the season to get to the top of the AL East. I do see them being very competitive with the Red Sox, but I'm going with Boston's purely because of team health. Catching is a bit of a concern. I mean, Carlos Narvaez and Connor Wong, not ideal.
Those are guys.
But a rotation headlined by Garrett Crochet, the acquisition of Ranger Suarez, who hasn't been the best. He's going to be interesting. I love Brian Bayo. I've loved Brian Bayo. May he please develop eventually. Old man Sonny Gray. I don't know what that's about. And Connolly Early, who I think could be decent. Patrick Sandoval, who's hurt. I think he will be a good mid-rotation guy. Same with Cutter Crawford, who had a decent season last year. Bullpen headlined by Chapman and Whitlock. I think that's going to be great. Depth, less said the better. But I think being a very top-heavy squad, it could help them in a division like this. Love Marcelo Meyer. He's going to be excellent. Wilson Contreras, may he bounce back eventually. Caleb Durbin, not a fan of that. I'm not really a fan of this infield at all. But when you get to the outfield of what I believe to be Duran, Rafaela, and Anthony, it's a very intriguing outfield. And you have a depth guy like a Willie or a Bray who was, I believe, very good in the World Baseball Classic. So backup option and a guy like a Masataka Yoshida, Tristan Casas, may he also get healthy eventually. If they get healthy and they could put everything together, this could be a team that wins 95 games. So I think this Red Sox group is going to be really good. Then I have Toronto. Then I'm going to finish it off the same way you did with the Yankees, the Orioles. I'm worried about Baltimore. You know, the one problem forever with the Orioles has been starting pitching. I'm going to let you take a second to guess if they address that. The answer is not really. And I mean, yes, greatest pitcher ever, Kyle Bradish, who was a baller. I love Kyle Bradish. Zach Eflin, Chris Bassett. God, they're old. Trevor Rogers is great.
A really strong last.
He's very good. But Bassett, and Eflin, it's not a rotation that blows you away. Could they be great? 100%. But I think they are missing having a guy like Grayson Rodriguez in there to maybe replace a guy like Bassett. I think that would have been a little bit more ideal. Ryan Helsley's interesting.
Can't be as bad as he was last year.
That is also very true.
Simply a fact.
They are missing Felix Bautista for a cool minute. The rest of the bullpen depth's okay. I think Adley Rutschman is due for a big time season. It's gonna happen. I don't know if it's this year. Maybe it's and eventually, but he's really good. Pete Alonso is gonna be great. Second baseman Blaze Alexander. I'm not a big fan of his. The rest of his infield's okay. Made Jordan Westburg get healthy. Gunnar Henderson, I think he's bound for a big season this year. And he's going to be the one that makes Baltimore competitive. It won't be the starting pitching. It won't be the bullpen. It's going to have to go through Gunnar Henderson, which is really weird to say for me. Outfield, I think, is going to be decent with guys like O'Neill, Cowser, Taylor Ward. I think could be a good asset for them. They obviously traded Grayson Rodriguez for him. Ryan Mountcastle, I think, could be pretty solid as well as a DH spot. So the Orioles could put it together. But I just don't think they have the correct starting pitching to maybe make the move for 90 to 95 wins. And then I'm going to go with Tampa Bay, who could be sneaky good. They do get Shane McClanahan back. Gentlemen, they might be back. They're not back yet. Not yet.
They need hitters for that.
They do need hitters for that. They have Caminero.
Of course.
And that's about it for the most part. I mean, they got a Chandler Simpson guy.
Jonathan Aranda's been really solid.
Oh, yeah.
But you do trade away Brandon Lau, who obviously is doing great things for the Pirates now. And so
they had to trade him eventually.
Just naturally need to get back towards, developing these guys. A lot of trades throughout this offseason getting rid of guys. So I just don't see them going too far.
So my order was Boston and Toronto, then the Yankees, who I have all three in the playoffs, by the way. I do have all three there. Then Baltimore, and then Tampa Bay bringing up the rear. Recap what your top five was before we go to the second.
So looking at our AL East, I've got the Toronto Blue Jays at the first spot, then the Boston Red Sox, then New York Yankees, Baltimore Orioles, and the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Or not Devil Rays anymore.
Devil Rays. Bro's time traveling back to 2006.
It was a better name.
It was a better name. All right, we're going to move over to the AL Central. I'll start us off with this one. Obviously, the teams, for those who might be living under a rock, we have the Detroit Tigers, headlined by Tariq Skubal. You have the Guardians, the Royals, led by Bobby Witt, the White Sox, and the Twins. My order is actually going to be very similar to that. I'm going to lead us off with the Detroit Tigers winning this division. They're the most complete team in this division by a country mile. I think the Royals are getting there, but not yet. I don't think they have the assets to really get them over the top. Though Bobby Witt, if he goes off, could lead them all the way to the promised land of the playoffs or winning the AL Central for what I believe would be the first time in like 8 years, something like that. I think it'll be Tigers, then Royals, and then a big gap to Cleveland. I think Cleveland will finish third. They're always a team that could be in the conversation to win the Central. They were in the playoffs last year, if I remember. Were they in the playoffs last year?
Cleveland, yes.
Yes. They're always a team that could, be sneaky good. I think they could be in the conversation for a wild card, but I just don't think they have the assets to get over the hump against teams like in the AL East in terms of a wild card spot. I just don't think they have the roster to go out and get on top of the Tigers or the Royals. Fourth, I'm going to have, this is where this gets really techie because, the Twins, they might be trading off more assets. Joe Ryan, we don't know how long he will be there. And the White Sox are the White Sox. So I'll just keep that order because why the hell not? Twins and then the White Sox. They both suck. They're both terrible. Remember when the Twins were good?
Remember when the White Sox were good?
No. It was like 2 seasons.
Man doesn't remember 2020.
I do remember
Timmy
2020.
Anderson.
Dude, I remember.
Jose Abreu MVP.
I got scarred for just a fun story. I got scarred by the Minnesota Twins doing a conquest on MLB The Show. I kept getting destroyed by Miguel Sano. For those my friends who are watching this, if you know, you know. Robbie getting torched by Miguel Sano for 3 days straight. But what are your predictions? I have a feeling they're going to be very similar.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you, Basil. I think we are pretty much aligned with the AL Central here. Obviously, I see the Detroit Tigers being number one spot here. They showed us yesterday that, this is some great pitching. Saw Skubal get right back to that Cy Young level. And, of course, expect really big things from him this upcoming season. And then the hitters did a really good job. Kevin McGonigal, who's been, praised this entire spring training as a guy who could come in as a rookie and just be a really, really strong player. Had himself 4 hits yesterday in his MLB debut. First pitch swinging in the first at bat and drove some runs in and what would end up being a really strong and dominant win against the San Diego Padres, who we'll get to at a point, but that is still a formidable opponent that they're able to defeat on opening day. Again, like the rest of this rotation, I do really like adding Framber Valdez as a number 2. behind Skubal is really big to see. We'll see how other guys like Flaherty and Mize, how they can kind of potentially get back to their winning ways in the rotation. I do like this bullpen as well, so I think they are by far clearing away the #1 team in this division. And then not too far behind, I do have the Kansas City Royals. I think what it comes down to is just when you look at their rotation and lineup, it's the Tigers, but just a little bit worse. I look at some of the guys like, Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, Cole Reagan, solid members of this rotation that I think are going to, give you 5 innings of winnable baseball. Just depends on whether this lineup is going to be able to back it up. Obviously, you've got guys like Salvi Perez, if he just continues to, not regress and just continue to get older but still play well, I think that's really strong. Vinny Pasquantino, I mean, we saw in the WBC how much that guy can turn it on for a whole team. He was really the spark plug for Team Italy and what was a team that made it way farther than I think a lot of people thought in that tournament. And then Jonathan India, he's there. He's going to be a solid second baseman. Nothing too good, nothing too bad. Michael Garcia, I think people are expecting big things. Talk about the WBC. That's the tournament MVP. A really strong performance on his part. We know Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the best in the game, especially best shortstop. And then when you look at the outfield, obviously I like things like Jack Caglione, Isaac Collins, Kyle Isbell. They're guys. They're going to be your 8 and 9. That's fine. They could maybe get a hit or two in moments when it matters. And then Carter Jensen, I think, is a really interesting DH spot that I could definitely see making some headway for the Royals. But I think that gets them firmly in that second place spot. Just as you have the Guardians in the third. Again, like we said in the previous segment, some nice things I saw early on. Obviously, we see guys like Chase DeLauder with 2 home runs in that game. Obviously, expected good things from that youngster. Stephen Kwan's going to do what he does. J-Ram, since he's stuck there for the rest of his career, is just going to continue to be one of the best, most underrated players in the game.
Dude. I feel so bad for
I mean,
him.
that's commitment to a team.
It is commitment.
Is it Stockholm Syndrome? Maybe. But even still, looking at the Guardians, I think they're a solid third-place team here. They could even make some room to potentially get in second place like they did last year, upsetting the Royals in that spot. And then lastly, I'll shake things up a little bit here. I'm going to go with the White Sox in 4th place.
Munetaka Murakami carrying them.
Murakami, a solid piece. Chase Mydroth, had that home run to start off against the Miz, against the Brewers. They are slowly gaining kind of a pitching development regime. It's still not obviously near the top teams in the major leagues, but I do like this team to kind of make some headway as in a bullpen and a rotation that people aren't expecting to be good. They could really definitely make some moves. And then lastly, like you said, I have the Twins, and like you said, this is a team that's trying to lose games. Frankly, they are going to get their big moments from a guy like Joe Ryan and then trade him. They can't get rid of Pablo Lopez because he got hurt right before the season, so he'll be out. But even still, you're going to see all the talent they possibly can and try to get rid of it to potentially get future assets to make this team really good. Except for Byron Buxton, because you want to talk about guys who are stuck there for the rest of their careers. That man's a twin till he dies. He continues to sign them, which is a choice. J-Ram, that's not a bad decision by you. At least the Guardians are going somewhere. I don't know why Byron Buxton's stuck with the Twins.
Can we trade for him, Mets? Please?
Whoa. Don't disrespect Luis Robert. Yeah. We'll get to him. We'll get to
Luis Robert. I just love Byron Buxton.
He's really good.
Moving on to the AL West quickly because this is taking way longer than we thought. We'll go to the AL West. Chase, you'll start us there. We have teams. That's some teams, and then we have the Mariners. Break it down for us.
Yeah, we have teams and then the Mariners. I think that's perfectly said. I'm going to go with Seattle to be the #1 spot. I think this is arguably the best rotation in baseball. I mean, just the talent of Kirby, Wu, and Gilbert in the front. Luis Castillo still definitely has some pedigree as one of the best guys. When he gets to that 5 spot, it gets a little shaky, and especially if injuries do come to these guys, then it comes question. But I do still like what this team was able to do offensively. Obviously, we expect J-Rod to be really strong again. Cal Raleigh, expected regression, but he's still going to be one of, if not the best catchers in the game. Brendan Donovan made his presence known with a bang. Josh Naylor, Randy Rosarena. A lot of these guys, I think, is just a really strong starting 6. And then when you get through 7 and 9, I think it's still going to be a really formidable unit. Then it comes to the rest of this division. And they're all here. They're all playing fine baseball. I think I'm going to go with the Texas Rangers in second because I just expect that lineup, that rotation, again, 2023 wasn't that long ago. This team can't possibly continue to not meet those expectations that we saw. Obviously, Odalis Garcia's gone because he just completely fell off the face of the earth once that run was over after being one of the best starters. He's on Philadelphia with the Phillies.
Oh, so he's hitting 50 home runs or something this year.
Well, I mean, if he learns to hit ever again. But even still, I think the Rangers, they have a solid rotation. Make that trade for Mackenzie Gore. Will he finally reach those expectations? No. Who knows? It's not the Nationals, so that's a plus no matter what. Then you go to the bullpen. It's solid, nothing too crazy. I don't have anyone that really sticks out, but I think even still, this is just a team that's going to get by playing, close games, or the bats are just going to wake up finally. I expect to see some solid things on their part. And then when it comes to the rest of these teams, I really is a battle between any of them. I think I'm going to go with the Houston Astros to be in third place. I think I just expect more natural expectations from this starting nine to be really good. I think Jose Altuve, is bound to be, a solid hitter no matter what. Jordan Alvarez is obviously one of the best in the game when he's healthy. Guys like Cam Smith, when they get Jeremy Pena back, is going to be big. Obviously he got hurt right before or around the beginning of the WBC, so it sucks to see him go. Such a talented shortstop. But even still, I still think that they're going to be a solid third place, even potentially getting ahead of Texas here, but I do have them in third. And then I'm going to end out, I think, in a pretty standard going. The Athletics, no city, the Athletics, they're fine. We got Nick Kurtz, great first baseman, really strong rookie year. Jacob Wilson had a high average, but didn't do too much beyond that. And a couple other guys, Lawrence Butler, Brent Rooker, they're all going to do good things. Shea Langoliers continues to be underrated at the catcher position.
Yes.
And then lastly, Los Angeles Angels. Jose Soriano was really good opening day, struck out 7. Sure, that was a big win for them against the Astros, but this team really is good. They got Grayson Rodriguez in the trade of Taylor Ward.
That's not bad.
He's a guy. Is a pitching, or if it's a pitching organization like the Orioles, are they going to not get something that the Angels are going to unlock in Grayson Rodriguez? Not sure, but even
they
still,
unlocked in Dylan Bundy.
Man, I think we're going to see some solid things from this team, but even still, this is an Angels team that they continue to try to make the right moves and just press all the wrong buttons.
Yeah.
So I think my final standings here, I will have the Mariners, Rangers, Astros, Athletics, Angels, which is funny because when you're looking at the standings after day one, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Surely that won't change that'll won't stay the same.
So my order is very similar. I am going to have the Mariners winning this division as copying Chase again. So obviously, the freaking Rangers are going to win this division or something.
Oh God, please no. Jacob DeGrom, Cy Young, no, please not again.
I love this Mariners rotation, as you highlighted. The pitching is ridiculous. You have Munoz in the bullpen. They have
fantastic
4 to 5 incredible starters. If only they could unlock a true offense. Consistency.
One of the hardest places to hit in.
It is a hard place to hit in. It is also impossible for them to get team depth in hitting. May they please hit eventually. Second, I'm going to change it up. Because I'm not thinking Jacob DeGrom is going to go crazy. I'm going to go with Houston second.
Wow.
Changing it up a little bit. They're dealing with some early injury woes. Hunter Brown, I'm a big fan of. A couple years ago, he was, in a word, terrible. But now he's figuring things out. Like I said, if only they could unlock team health. Having a 1-2 punch of Abreu and Hader in the back end of that bullpen could be really fun for a team like Houston. Catching is a disaster, but like the infield itself, Christian Walker could have a bounce back. Isaac Paredes could have a bounce back. Correa could maybe have a renaissance. I don't really know.
I never happened, but still.
It might happen.
Oh, wait.
Who is playing? Is Jeremy Pena not healthy?
He is not. He got hurt at the beginning of the WBC.
Oh, good. Nick Allen at shortstop is something.
Where's Mauricio Dubon? Come on, bring him back. Where's bro?
Obviously, they have Jordan Alvarez. They have some dudes on this squad, but I think I just trust them more than the Rangers. I don't know why. Because I do have the Rangers third. I don't know. Mackenzie Gore is a dude. I love Mackenzie Gore, but they overpaid by a million years for him.
5 prospects.
5 prospects for Mackenzie Gore is a gamble in itself. I still think the Rangers will be good. They'll be neck and neck, I think, the whole season. Fourth, I'm going to go with the A's or the Athletics, whatever the hell you call them at this point. You could call them a certain team, like another team name, and you'll be like, oh, yeah, they're going to be 4th in the AL West this season. But at the end of the day, they have a lot of potential. They are a team that is, doing the right things. I wish they did this in Oakland, 100%. But like I said, they're making the right moves. Luis Severino and Aaron Savale, because why not? Northeastern legend.
They'll eat some innings, that's for sure.
They'll eat innings. Jeffrey Springs is the SP too.
Still around there, yes. He is.
That makes me uncomfortable. Pitching, Elvis. How do you say his name? It is Alvarado. Could be good. We'll find out about that later on. Catching, you mentioned Shea Langoliers. I love him.
Fantastic.
Nick Kurtz is going to be great. Jeff McNeil's at second.
Sure.
Love it.
He's a utility guy.
Max Muncy is on this team.
Other Max Muncy.
There's another Max. I forgot there's another Max Muncy.
Both were A's at one point,
Yes, they
interestingly
were.
enough.
Isaiah Soderstrom, Wilson, Lawrence Butler on right, Brent Rooker, who's not in the field apparently now. That works for me. This is a team that, if healthy, can go and you maybe win 75, 80 games. They're a team that can make some noise, cause some problems for some teams throughout any part of the season. So they're going to be a team that's fun. And then we have the Mike Trout Merchants in last.
They do.
So we were going to go. I went with the Mariners and the Astros, then the Rangers, then the A's, and then the Angels, while Chase made one change in the middle, playing the Rangers over the Astros. We'll take a quick break. When we return, the National League, and you'll find out where we put our New York Mets when we return here on WIUR Radio.
This is WIUR Radio.
Hi, this is Anthony Carlo, TV news reporter in New York City and proud alum. If you're looking for a career in media, Iona is the place to be. From internships to real-world experience, Iona's media program is unprecedented. Take it from an industry professional who made it in the biz.
Now back to WIUR, Iona University Radio.
Welcome back to the Booth Review on WIUR Radio. I'm Robbie Basil, joined by Chase Curry and Scoot. While Scoot will have the Marlins win 100 games this year, or have the Pirates win the Central.
Crazy predictions, buddy.
Two crazy predictions. I mean, nothing could top his WBC and his incredible WBC
So
picks.
close.
So close.
Shows a team that got relegated, but really close.
So close, yet so far away. Just like some teams in the National League East. And that is where we will be resuming our picks. And later on in the show, we're going to go over our wild card picks. And then, if we have time, preview of our World Series, preseason World Series, like week one World Series picks.
Like
why the hell not? We're going to start in the National League East. Whether you like the Nationals winning their opening day game against the Cubs, or if you're concerned about the Marlins, well, guess what? They haven't played yet.
Neither the Braves.
Now they did the Braves for some reason.
Baseball.
May the schedule be not confusing one day. So let's begin with the NL East. We'll start with Chase again, because why not? You know, there's a couple teams that could compete for this division. What's the order you have?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to start, obviously, from the number one spot. And come on, what do you guys think this was? This is a podcast in New York. We are going to have the New York Mets winning the NL East. And, of course, that is off of what was a fantastic opening day. We already mentioned it, but shelling Paul Skeens. Yeah, O'Neal Cruz made 2 errors. Shelling Paul Skeens. He didn't make it out of the first. Really strong time from Benj, Alvarez. You know, good at bats from guys like Bichette, Robert, Polanco, Brett Beatty. Wherever he's going to play, they throw him at different positions every day, and he's still going to excel. And then obviously the two guys at the top, Lindor and Soto, two of the best. I love this rotation. I had some problems with it, you know, throughout the offseason, but when you get a guy like Freddie Peralta in the building, that completely changes the landscape of what you're looking at. It puts McClain in a more comfortable spot at 2. You have guys like Peterson, who first half of last season was really, really strong, kind of tailed off after pitching more innings than he previously, you know, had in his career because he had dealt with some injuries. A first full season, had some ups and downs, but I still like him to do good things. Clay Holmes was an absolute stellar acquisition and was really strong in the starting position that he hadn't done in the past.
Which was surprising, by the way.
Nearly saved the season, and they blow it in the last game, but nevertheless. And then lastly, and I can't believe I'm saying this, lastly, Kodai Senga is a guy that, if he's healthy, he can really turn it on as a guy at the back of this. And then even still, got a guy like Sean Manaea. Yeah, his fastball averaged 88 miles per hour in spring training. Piggybacking role, he can definitely do some good there in just a couple of innings. You know, get some velo up, get some more control going. And then guys like Tobias Myers, we saw yesterday, really strong for a potentially long man in a bullpen. Obviously, Devin Williams and Luke Weaver, because, you know, the Mets love just grabbing Yankees for some reason. I think it'd be solid in that back of the bullpen role. And then a couple of other guys, you know, Rayleigh, still seeing, you know, Luis Garcia, another acquisition there. They're going to eat some innings. I think that's solid for them. And I think just overall, this is a team that is one of the best constructed out of the NL, especially in the NL East. Then to quickly go through the rest of them here. Second place, I have the Philadelphia Phillies. A great 1, 2, 3, but kind of falls off after that. We'll see how guys like Stott and Marsh and Bohm are able to kind of continue to go. JT Realmuto, he's still around, sure.
Yeah, that is
at the catcher
weird
position, why not? Their outfield, Adolis Garcia, as we mentioned, a flyer in the outfield. Will he be, big boom Adolis like he was a few years ago? Who's to say? The rotation, Christopher Sanchez just might be the Cy Young. I mean, just a fantastic pitcher for them. Jesus Luzardo is really strong. Wheeler, if he ever comes back, will be at the tip-top shape as we've always seen him. Aaronola is a guy. He'll continue.
Remember when he
thrive.
was good, Chet? That's
for Team Italy for like a game. I remember that. But
it
on
2
the Phillies, he was a little iffy in that last game when they
a game
lost
and a
to
half. We'll give it a
Venezuela.
game and a half.
Correct. And then just Philly closing out 3. It's got to be at number 3 in the NL East. I got the Miami Marlins.
Wow.
I like this team. I like the starting 9. I really do like. Obviously, they're missing Kyle Stowers, who was such a great piece added in that young team last year. Jacob Marcy, I expected things. Augustin Ramirez is a great young hitter. And you guys got guys like Otto Lopez, Xavier Edwards are going to be solid in the middle of the infield. I'm going to be expecting to see some solid things from them. Owen Casey, who we saw absolutely light it up for Team Canada, he's going to be on this team. And I think as a young player, this Marlins team has really done a really good job developing, and I think they're going to help with that. And then in the rotation, Sandy, obviously, I can't think he could be as bad as he was last year coming off of TJ. Eri Perez took in a fantasy baseball draft yesterday. We expect him to be, living up to some high heat and, a big stature as an athletic member. Sure. Or you could do that. Pete Fairbanks added in this bullpen. I think he is, a really formidable guy to have in the back of this bullpen. And they just find guys. They're really nice. This is a team that had a Huascar Brazban on their team a few years back. Tanner Scott. They just find solid players and they develop in that bullpen. So I expect them to be better than I think a lot of people think in this division. And then the last 2, Atlanta Braves. I mean, if they stay healthy, they could be the second best team in this division. They just simply don't stay healthy. Although I do expect big things from Acuna. Besides that, I think they will be fine nevertheless. And lastly, I have the Washington Nationals because that's a team that if baseball teams could get relegated, they should be at the top of that list. Well,
That's crazy, by the way. Relegated? The Nationals?
Name 5 members of that team.
So, okay.
Got him.
Dylan Cruz.
He's on AAA. Doesn't count.
Wait, he's not on
Got sent down. He's terrible.
He's 20 or something.
Yeah, and they've brought him up 2 times, and he's been bad both times.
That one.
No, there is. CJ Abrams is solid when he's not being mentally a interesting player on and off the field.
That's nuts.
James Wood, great power. Will he be able to hone it?
No.
We're going to have to see. Rotation-wise, I mean, this is a team that signed Miles Michaelis. Did they see how he played on the Cardinals? Very interesting overall.
Yeah.
They traded Mackenzie Gore. I don't expect much from this team. They're fun. They got a couple of young players, but I think this is one of the worst, if
All
not
right, so
the
you
worst
want
teams
me
in
to
baseball.
name 5 players in the Nationals? All right, let's get it.
All right, here we go.
Josiah Gray, Miles Michaelis.
Neuro legend of Zaya Gray.
Neuro guy.
Yes.
So James Wood counts.
Yes.
CJ Abrams.
Mhm.
Why did I almost just say Ryan Zimmerman? What the
Catcher traded for Max Scherzer and Trey Turner.
hell? Catcher was Kyber Ruiz.
Kyber Ruiz. There we go.
Unbelievable.
And they're still the worst team in the division.
Yeah, they are bad.
Now, what are your picks, my friends?
Also, shout out because I have the Nationals up here. I have all the teams from the NL
This
East
is
up
going to be
here.
ugly.
Brady House is here. Jacob Young.
Jacob Young's a solid defensive outfielder. Not too much of a bat, though.
I don't know who Andre Chaparro is, but we move, we ball.
They're making up names on this
Cade
team.
Cavell.
Well, he was a young prospect who looked
Jake Irvin's is good.
solid. Ups and downs.
He's only good against the Mets, apparently.
Well, yeah, he shut them out on before the July. We'll never forget.
Yep. All right. So division standings. National East. In first place, I have the Philadelphia Phillies. Yeah, I know. I'm not a New
We're
York.
getting out of here.
Yeah, they're leaving the room. Yeah, not ideal. I kind of just trust them more. Like, I know everyone always has these high expectations for the Mets, and they just find a way to blow it.
Harper looked bad in the WBC.
He did look bad in the WBC, but what did he also do? He did hit the home run to tie it in the finals
for half an inning.
So he was good at. Listen, he was better than Cal Raleigh.
I mean, Schwarber was worse than him, and he's also on this team.
That might be true.
Yes, Trey Turner though.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
Mhm.
But the pitching is what I like
Pitching
more.
is really good.
Christopher Sanchez, Jesus Luzardo, Aaron Nola.
Mhm.
May Zach Wheeler get healthy. I still love Zach Wheeler if he
He's
plays with the
fantastic.
Phillies. They have the best closer in the division in Joan Duran, who has the most fire intro. I wish we traded for him. I was very sad we didn't. Jose Alvarado, if he actually plays, because he's good, but like control issues everywhere he goes. While on the mound, Alec Boehm at third. Yeah, he's in the news for something recently, isn't he?
His family was suing, or he was suing his parents for
Interesting.
stealing money from him. Not important.
Bryson Stott.
He's a guy.
I think he could develop into a really good player. Trey Turner is here.
Bless you.
I don't know if you're trying to say it to the Marlins because like maybe help them like win over 80 games.
If Phillies get rid of Castellanos, that's a big win for their offseason.
Their outfield sucks. That's the one thing I'm worried about. Justin Crawford in center. Can they just put Trey Turner in center or something? Just like bring up another.
I think his body's destroyed at this point.
Yeah, it's true. Adolis Garcia, Dylan Moore is here.
Yeah, Demo. He's had a legend.
Interesting. So I think there will be a team that has to be moved at the trade deadline, like every other team in this division. Second, I have the Mets, solely for the fact that I don't think they can just put it together because it's the Mets. Third, I was gonna go with the Marlins, and then you took the pick from me, so I'm not picking the Marlins. I'm going with Atlanta. They have more talent. Ronald Acuna
get less healthy.
Yeah, but
who's to say Acuna's going to play the full season? Who's to say Olsen's going to play the full season?
No, we know that. But them being around for 105 games, they'll still be more productive than anyone on that Marlins team.
Michael Harris was statistically one of the worst hit batters in baseball.
Oh, no, I know.
He's terrible.
But they'll have, I believe, a good season from Austin Riley.
Ozuna from the Braves is gone.
Ozuna from the Braves is gone. He's riding away with the Pirates. I'm taking Andrew McCutcheon's spot on the team, which for some reason he left again for the second time.
For the Rangers.
Sure.
Which is a choice.
It is a choice. So I have the Braves. Their pitching is concerning.
They're all hurt.
Oh, they're all injured.
Strider, Schwellenbach.
As expected, because this is Atlanta in recent years. Just like there are guys who like to throw like the football, who like to throw the football or throw any ball in general. They're all injured.
Correct.
Again.
Sorry, Atlanta can't have anything.
Yeah, Atlanta can't have anything.
No fun.
Nice. No, so GG's to the Braves. They'll still finish third. They'll win like 81 games or something. They'll go 81-81. They have the Marlins because, again, I don't trust them at all. Sandy Alcantara is great. Yuri Perez is probably going to get hurt again.
Stop. No.
The rest of the team is... You said they have Castellanos? Yeah.
No. The Padres got Castellanos.
The Padres got Castellanos. I'm trying to remember, like, there's so many offseason moves here. You kind of forget. Sure. I don't like the Marlins offense at all. It's worse than Atlanta's.
Well, yeah, but like they have pitchers.
Do they though?
They have like 2 or 3 more, and they stay healthy. Well, okay. Look, the top 2 guys aren't healthy, and they just traded Edward Cabrera. Even still,
yeah, Edward Cabrera is
they're in the same ilk, and I think they're going to be very close, and that's why we have them both as either 3 or 4, because 5's obvious.
5 is indeed obvious. It is the Washington Nationals.
Yeah.
All right, next division.
Okay.
We are running out of time on this show somehow. Quickly to the Central. It's a 1-2 punch. Obviously, the Pirates are finishing 4th because sometimes things suck. The Reds, I think, can put it together, but I have them in 3rd. Bottom, I have the Cardinals. They're not winning 65 games. Top 2 is where it gets interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Milwaukee.
Okay.
I'm going Milwaukee over Chicago. I like the starting pitching more from the Brew Crew over the Cubs. And that's mainly I think the rest of their teams are very, very similar. So I'm going to go with the team with better pitching. And I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Brewers.
I like that. And I think I'm going to have that flip there. I'm going to go to the Chicago Cubs. I just believe in their starting 9 a little bit more. Their hitters, I think, are really strong. Obviously, you don't like a start from Matt Boyd in the opening day against the Nationals who are giving up 6 runs.
True.
But nevertheless, I think he's going to turn it around. Guys like Cade Horton, I think, are due for a really big sophomore year after coming off such a good rookie campaign. And their bullpen led by guys like Daniel Palencia, who was absolutely filthy for Team Venezuela and had a really strong season last year for the Cubs. I expect him to be a formidable force coming out of that bullpen. Then you go to the Milwaukee Brewers, like you said. They just do it. It doesn't matter who's, starting in the rotation at the beginning of the season or who's in the starting 9 at the beginning of the rotation, beginning of the season. They just find guys. They'll do good. They got really good pieces like Sprout and Jet Williams in the Peralta trade. I expect them to do good things as well. And guys like, Yelich, Chorio when he comes back, Bryce Terang, who really sprouted out in Team USA. They're all going to do really good things there. And then rounding out 3 through 5, I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Reds. Like you said, I think De La Cruz is due for a big year as kind of the leading guy on this team.
Carry you in fantasy?
Correct, that as well. But nevertheless, he's a really strong batter. Then you go to the Pirates. They showed really good pop in their bats last night, or yesterday, I should say, against the Mets. But nevertheless, I don't really know how far that can really take them. Obviously, they have a great rotation. Their bullpen didn't show too much either yesterday. But overall, it's a very solid team that I think is going to be around that 75 to 80 win round, like you said. And then the Cardinals, because it's the Cardinals. They've traded almost everyone who's good. Lars Newbar, he's a guy. JJ
MLB
Weatherholt,
The Show
he's there
legend,
as well.
by the way. Japan national team legend.
Jordan Walker, if he's
No.
ever going to be good on that,
No,
probably not. But even still, that is the cut and dry, I think, NL Central for Basil and I.
All right, so NL West, I think we're going to be like near the same on this. Obviously, we both have the Dodgers winning, but what do you have for the rest of the division?
Listen, when it comes to this team, or this division, I should say, it is really tough to decide who at any point is going to be 2 through 5. I think this might be a little crazy. I'm going to go with the San Francisco Giants in that second spot.
It's not me making the pick this year. Because for those who know, every year I've done a show on this channel, I've picked the Giants top 3. And I've learned my mistake. Because I'm doing the
Listen, I mean, we all talk about fantasy teams.
Someone's done it.
You all talk about fantasy teams that I have De La Cruz having a big year because he's my first round pick in a fantasy
Rafael
baseball draft.
Devers.
Not just him. I do like this team in general. Willie Damas, who's also on my fantasy team, is really good. Matt Chapman, one of the best third basemen really in the game, really underrated over on the Bay.
Are you trying to trade for him?
Even still, Luis Arias, he's going to get hits. Whether he is maybe the worst defensive second baseman in the game, yet to be seen. Patrick Bailey, not a real batter, maybe one of the worst, if not the worst in the game, but a great defensive catcher. And then in the outfield, you get a guy like Harrison Bader on a one-year flyer. He could have a great year for them. Jung Hoo Lee is still around. He's going to do something. And Helio Ramos, he's a roller coaster of a player, but nevertheless, their rotation, not great. Besides Logan Webb, you go to like Robbie Ray and some of those other guys who haven't been seen too much yet. Blake Tidwell, maybe. It's going to be interesting to see. And then in the bullpen, some solid guys. I saw some good guys closing out the game of the Yankees game. You know, a couple of runs given up here and there, but mainly that was from the starter and Webb. Overall, I think this is a team that's going to get by from the rest of the division really not being strong. And that leads me to kind of the rest of it. I'm going to go with the San Diego Padres in the third. Their batters, when you get past Merrill, Tatis, and Machado, it's really not that great. You're going to see, maybe some blips on the radar for some guys. Bogarts maybe have a little bit of a bounce back here. Jake Cronenworth, he's always just like the most 100 on the WAR of all time. He's just completely the base average player. Rotation, really not much to see besides a guy like Michael King, Nick Pivetta maybe. Not too much besides that. Musgrove when he comes back. Yu Darvish, who knows where he is. A bunch of other guys that I think are just going to be fine, I think, in this rotation. I would be remiss to not say this is arguably the best bullpen in baseball. I mean, Mason Miller at your front. You got guys like, Yuki Matsui on a long-term deal with them there. You lose Robert Suarez, but you still got guys like Jason Adam doing great work for them. A bunch of different pieces that they could go to at a constant pace. Whether or not that bullpen will be important, because this rotation's not going to be, keeping them alive. This lineup that I didn't even mention, Nick Castellanos they signed, because sure, he's a bat that you could use as filler. I don't know how much I feel about them there, but even still, I think this is a formidable third-place team. Maybe make a little noise with the Giants there for number 2. And then the last two, I think Diamondbacks, they don't have much pitching. They don't have much bullpen. And besides Perdomo, Marte, and Carroll, not much hitting either. So I think this is really a team that's taken a year to really kind of get back to 2023 was really fun. Let's try to rebuild in a way that can get you some success. I mean, they didn't even sign their opening day starter, Zach Gallen, until one of the last weeks of spring training. Yeah. It's a team that don't love in terms of their pitchers, but I think they're going to definitely stay in some games, and obviously they can always be a rowdy bunch. And then lastly, we talk about teams that should be relegated. I mean,
the Rockies.
The Colorado Rockies are here as well.
All right, so my division picks a little bit different. Obviously, we have the Dodgers. Second, I am going the Padres. I just don't trust the Giants. I'm tired of picking the Giants second. The rotation is concerning. Mm-hmm. They might be able to get some health. They do have a lot of gambles in this rotation. Walker Buehler and German Marquez in the back end. Got this. Joe Musgrove is hurt. Hopefully he gets healthy eventually. Mason Miller, Jason Adam, Matsui, they're both all fun. Wandy Peralta somehow here.
Hey, man.
Okay.
From the left side.
Catching is terrible. First base. They do have some guys who could just break out for one good season. Some guys like a Gavin Sheets. I love Ty France. I've always loved Ty France, but he's just been really bad last couple of years. Mm-hmm. Jake Cronenworth has been bang average. Xander Bogaerts not living up to the contract. Mm-hmm. Left field, Ramon Laureano. defense, I guess.
There'll be a guy. Like a hitter
Jackson
too, right?
Merrill's great. Tatis,
Fantastic.
and then Castellanos. Miguel Andujar's here.
Yeah,
Okay,
starting time.
We are moving on. From
He's a
that.
legend.
Yes, Miguel Andujar is going to lead, obviously, the Padres to second place. Third place, we have the Giants, then the Diamondbacks, and then the Colorado Rockies, who are, in a word, I think this sound effect, again, will be perfect for them.
I mean,
Yeah, next. All right, so with 5 minutes, or a couple minutes left, we're going to go just say again our division winners and then our 3 wildcard teams and then a quick World Series preview with the time we have left. So I'll go first. National League, I have the Phillies winning the East, Brewers winning the Central, and the Dodgers winning the West. My wildcard teams, I'm going to go with the Mets. I have the Mets is my first wildcard. I'm going to go with Chicago. And this is where it gets really interesting because the rest of it's like a mess. So I'm going to go my last wildcard team to be the San Diego Padres. Okay. You know, I'm not picking Atlanta. You mentioned it well with the injuries. I'm not picking a Central team because I don't trust any of them, though the Reds would be my shout in the Central. I think they're going to be the first team out. So my wildcard teams are the Mets. I'm going to go with the Cubs, and then I'm going to go with the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, okay. So I'm looking at this team, and obviously I've got the New York Mets being a division winner. I've got the Chicago Cubs as well, and then I've got the Los Angeles Dodgers. And looking at our wild card here, it's going to be the Phillies. Obviously, you can't doubt them out. And it's going to be the Milwaukee Brewers. And then when it comes down to that final spot, it is really tough looking at these teams. I do think, like you said, the Reds are going to be really close in it. I think that is definitely a team that I'm going to be looking out for, especially into this group. Close there with the Marlins, but I think I am going to go with the San Francisco Giants to be that sixth team and last spot in the wild card. Each division getting 2 teams going into the NL playoffs.
All right, so the American League, I'll go first again. I have the Red Sox winning the East. I have the Tigers winning the Central, and I have the Mariners winning the West. This is where this gets interesting. My wild card teams, I'm going to go with Toronto. I'm going to go my second wild card to be the Royals. And my final wild card, I will go with the New York Yankees. 1 team out of the West once again. I think those are the best 6 teams in the American League. We can't not, underestimate the talent from the top half of the American League, and those 6 teams arguably are the 6 best. I think those are the ones that deserve to make it.
I can't doubt that, and I am going to be very similar there with you. The Mariners are going to win out of the West. And then we have the Detroit Tigers in the Central, and I've got the Blue Jays in the East instead, but I will have the Red Sox as that first wild card team. Then followed by the Kansas City Royals out of the Central. And then last place, again, it is going to be close. I think there's going to be more fight for maybe a Guardians team or maybe a team in the AL West will just mess around and try to get themselves in the playoffs. But I think it will be the Yankees for that third team in the East to clear out for that wild card.
All right, so final thing we're going to say today is our very scuffed World Series picks for late March. And because I'm still stuck on one of my picks, we'll start with Chase Garidi for this one.
Okay. I'm going to make things very, very clear. It's not going to be the Dodgers again. I'm going to make things extra clear. I am biased, very much so. The New York Mets are making the World Series this year. If all things go well, they can definitely do it with the lineup that we have, with the rotation, if it plays to its strengths. If the bullpen is at its best, where we've seen guys like Devin Williams and Luke Weaver be before, you can see a lot of success in these. Even if they get a guy from the bullpen to eventually, or from the starting rotation, end up being in the bullpen to be one of these top tier guys. I like them out of the NL. Obviously, it's easy to say just chalk up the Dodgers. Not going to go with that though. And then out of the American League, I'm going to go with a team that I just continue to think just, if all things go well, they can easily be the best team here. And I am going to go with the Seattle Mariners. Rotation-wise, they follow with the lineup getting better and better as the years have gone on, as they're beginning as a smarter organization. And obviously, like we mentioned, they have one of the best underrated bullpens in the game. Just 3 facets of the game, they're doing really strong, and I think they can be very much the team to come out of the AL.
You stole one of my picks.
I'm glad I did.
I'm very upset.
Sounds like draft night last night.
But it was me stealing the picks from you.
That's true. It's Landon stealing picks from both of us.
Yes.
We know you're
Actually,
watching.
no, I didn't get his pick stolen. I got one pick stolen by Landon. Shout out Landon, by the way. You can check out Empire State of Sports on coming next Monday.
Award-winning show.
Award-winning Empire State of Sports. But my World Series pick, I'm going to pick Dodgers. I like being accurate. Lame. Though losing in the NLCS, I have the Brewers because they're just inevitable.
Why not?
It's just inevitable.
Just run back 2025.
Yeah, boring. I know, but I have the Mets getting absolutely boat raced by one of them. I'm American League, this was the one I made first, and I'm annoyed you picked them because I thought you were going with the Blue Jays again.
That's lame. Why would I do that?
Because why not?
The Tigers.
Crazy. Okay, I like the Tigers. And this is the team that I thought was going to lose in the ALCS to the freaking Seattle Mariners. So they're definitely not making
it out of the first round. Let's go.
I mean, heck, they might not even win their own division at this point.
Sorry, George Kirby. Sorry, Logan Gilbert. Sorry, Brian Wu. That's on us.
Maybe if they can find an offense that I trust them more, but I'm going with the Dodgers against the Mariners. With the Dodgers winning the World Series. I know, but lame. But yeah, I have the Dodgers. Who'd you pick to win the World Series?
Who I have winning? I didn't get there. I didn't think it's going to be a tough series, but I do have Seattle getting their first championship. I think the Mets will make it close, but again, this is a team that on all facets, they're just the best.
Chase is going with a very interesting pick with the Seattle Mariners. Well, I would go with the Los Angeles Dodgers, who I have beating the Mariners in the end. Scoot, what do we got?
What do we have to say?
The Rockies making the playoffs.
Scoot, the Expos aren't in baseball anymore. My goodness.
The Rockies against the Expos, NLCS.
They were in the same league. My goodness. We got to end this show.
Yeah, we do. That'll be the end of today's edition of the Booth Review. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the WIUR YouTube channel and like the video. And comment who you have winning the World Series. Top comment gets a shout out next week. For Chase Caridi, I'm Robbie Basil saying so long. We'll see you guys next week. This has been the Booth Review on WIUR Radio.
Live from New York, this is WIUR Radio.